FAB-Racing.
He is starting on pole position there with the Scottish flag on the knee sliders for the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, with lining up with a 55.7. Not that much quicker than Archie Gibbs, so we can expect to see some battling in this one.
Yeah, we can. So it will be Ethan Sparks lining up on the pole alongside Archie Gibbs in second place. Josh Williams back in third with Thorley Trevorrow in fourth. Archie O'Brien back in fifth with Marco Holt in sixth position. Bill Harris in a good seventh place back with Luke Fitchett rounding out row four, with Byron Johnson and Austin Johnson locking out row five in ninth and 10th, their second round after making that step up from the rookie class. And Noah Guillory in 11th position on the last row of the grid, and it will be once again Ethan Sparks versus Archie Gibbs. We've seen it quite often throughout this season. Ethan Sparks just seems to have the measure of Archie Gibbs, and as you say, a pretty hefty size gap in this championship, and with a good weekend, perhaps even two or three more wins, Ethan can lock out the championship next round at Red Lodge.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's been really consistent at the front of this championship. He's only been off of the podium once, and that was actually a DNF. So every race that he's finished, he's managed to rack up some consistent points in this one. But at the moment, his sights are going to be set on this race one for the AC40 Pros, and that man on the number 3 machine, Archie Gibbs, will be looking to take a win away from the number 62 of Ethan Sparks. But with loads of names in this one, who's it going to be for race one for the AC40 Pros as they head down to turn one for the first time? It's a good start there from Archie Gibbs, who was second on the grid, cuts across the nose of the number 62 of Ethan Sparks. So it's Archie Gibbs currently leading this one. Ethan Sparks slotting himself into second place, but a red flag already in this race. So something has happened here in this race. So red flag here, and we've only done a couple of corners.
Yeah, so everyone just takes a chill pill, just cools down, and we think it might be for a jump start. They've just decided to restart it all, and obviously everyone's just getting a little bit too excited off the line there as they look to the red lights. The red lights hadn't gone out yet, just before everyone started to make that mad sprint towards turn one, and but we will get restarted very, very shortly. They're making their way back round to the start-finish line, and it will give us some more time just to talk about this championship that is really starting to heat up. As we said, Ethan Sparks, big lead, 70 points in that championship over Archie Gibbs. Josh Williams back in third with Archie O'Brien in fourth in this championship. But Archie Gibbs looking very strong, and apart from a couple of issues that we saw early on in the season, Archie, that's why we see Ethan with such a big lead, because Archie had a couple of issues back at Lyd, and it really hurt him in this championship. Yeah,
absolutely. So I mean, one of the things that was really helped Ethan Sparks in this championship is his consistency, and we've got to give full credit to Ethan Sparks for that. But it's always been someone else who's been battling with him. It's either been Josh Williams, or it's been Archie Gibbs, or on occasion it's been a couple of other names like Marco Holt, Archie O'Brien, and it's never been a consistent threat. But as we get this race back underway, Ethan Sparks will be looking to pick up another win in this one, but it's Archie Gibbs now who leads this one as they go through the first complex for the first time. Brilliant move there from Marco Holt going round the outside of Joshua Williams, but Archie Gibbs now with a little bit of breathing space already on this first lap, but don't expect anyone to be able to break away in this one, as this depth of field is quite competitive indeed, as Joshua Williams tries to go up the inside of Marco Holt as they go through the hairpin for the first time down into the second hairpin. Joshua Williams does take that position away from the number 58 of Marco Holt. So a brilliant bit of racecraft there for the number 78 of Joshua Williams, a rider we saw challenging for wins earlier in the season, but just dropped off in terms of form lately.
Yes, and one rider that has taken his place is Marco Holt, and Marco, who finished third all three races in Ella Park, had a brilliant start there from third and got up from sixth into third, but has just been dropped back down to fourth, but in fact sweeps back up the inside of Josh Williams, back up into third place, as this fight for the final step of the podium has got Archie O'Brien. And as you say, Archie O'Brien, who we spoke to, has been very impressive, and he'll be equally looking at picking up another podium. But up at the front, it's Ethan Sparks, and who is starting to check out, because Ethan and Archie, I say, at the front of this one, and once again, those two just seem to be glued over the last two rounds or so. But Ethan Ethan Sparks closing in on Archie Gibbs for the lead of this one, and they've got themselves already a pretty good gap of just over 2 seconds to Marco Holt in third position. However, this battle between the pair of them will slow them up somewhat, so it will allow Marco, just if he can just put an extra shift on to close into the back of this leading pair.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, Ethan Sparks is doing a good job at the moment to just follow Archie Gibbs for now. They're just setting a hot pace at the front of this race. Still plenty of time to go in this one. So Ethan Sparks just making sure both these riders at the front can set a blistering pace and try and pull away from the rest of the field as they are doing very well with a 3.2 second lead over Marco Holt. But Archie Gibbs is leading this race, the number 3. But Ethan Sparks looking to the inside as they go into the hairpin. Can't quite make a move stick there, and perhaps lost a little bit of time there, did the number 62. But Archie Gibbs leading this race, not coming up on our timing screens at the moment, but is out the front in this race, just ahead of the number 62 of Ethan Sparks as they head into the closing stages of this lap, going through down into that nice swooping final corner. We've seen plenty of action there so far in these practice sessions. A lot of moves made at that final corner and quite a few crashes.
Yes, it seems to be. It has almost a slight bump just in the middle of the corner, the second apex, that has been catching out a couple of the riders. But we did notice, and we were commenting on the fact that we were watching Archie and Ethan in qualifying, and they both look very smooth on these bikes, don't they? And you can tell when a bike is going fast, and both the pair of them in qualifying were just looking so smooth, so assured. And down the inside goes Ethan Sparks, not quite close enough to get the run on exit on Archie Gibbs, but both these riders looking very good on these mini motos.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ethan Sparks just loses a little bit of time there when he tries to go up the inside of Archie Gibbs, and then has to use the rest of the lap to get back onto his back wheel. So he either needs to just commit to that pass there, perhaps he's just having a look to see where he can make a move later in this race. Of course, still 3.5 laps to go in this race, so still time for a move to be made there. As we look back at this battle for third place, 4 riders here battling for that final spot on the podium. Marco Holt it is that's currently leading that one on the 58 machine, the blue and yellow bike, and Joshua Williams trying to take that away from him, but Archie O'Brien and Thorley Trevorrow also in that battle as well. So this battle hotting up really nicely between all of these guys. As you can see, Archie O'Brien looks to the inside of Joshua Williams and makes a move stick there for 4th place. He's going to be trying to pick up a podium in this one. You can see that gaggle of riders there further back, but at this battle at the front between Archie Gibbs and Ethan Sparks, you can see Archie Gibbs just lost a little bit of time there again on that back straight, perhaps just looking to the inside, just overdoing it a little bit into that hairpin, and just loses the drive. Archie Gibbs seems to get a really good drive out of that hairpin.
Yeah, he does, and that is where you're going to get Ethan Sparks needing to improve to close in on the race leader Archie Gibbs, just with 3 laps left to go in this one. Up the inside goes Archie Bryan. Marco Holt's going to hold on to the position. Archie's going to have to go the long way around if he's going to get up the inside. He goes onto the grass. He just stays on the bike. Brilliant bike control there from the young man. Just got squeezed onto the grass, and we were talking about how the grass is very slippery. It rained very heavily yesterday, so that was a brilliant bit of bike control there. You could see that Archie just got out of the throttle in time for him to stay on the bike. Here comes Ethan Sparks down the inside. Can he get the run on the exit off the hairpin? Once again, around the outside goes Archie Gibbs, but alongside is Ethan Sparks as they come up towards turn 6 at Stewart, and Archie Gibbs just holding on. A little bit of a wobble there from the rear tyre of Ethan Sparks, but you've got to think this is going to go right down to the wire. Ethan looking very racy. In fact, he's going to take a look to the inside in towards Sunny Bend. Can he get the move done? He comes down the inside. Not quite close enough. Archie very much shutting the door in Ethan's face.
Yeah, Ethan at this point in the race is very much desperate to try and get past the number 3. He really wants that win and to be picking up points for this championship. Keeps having a look for a move down into the hairpin there, but then just loses a little bit on the exit of that one. And this is the final lap of the race for these guys then. Number 62, Ethan Sparks, looks to the inside. Will he make a move at the next hairpin? Is he close enough? He's going to have a go on the brakes as they head down as the hairpin. Not quite close enough to make a move stick. Makes a clever move there to just box in behind him and see if he can make a move later in this lap. Has a look as they head to the bottom end of the circuit. Not quite able to make a move stick here. Just a few more corners left to go of this Rowrah circuit. Will it be the number 3 of Archie Gibbs, or will it be Ethan Sparks. Ethan Sparks looks to the inside, can't quite make a move stick. Just a few more corners to go as they go through the left-hander down towards the final corner for the final time. Ethan Sparks looks to the inside, he does make a move stick, but will Archie Gibbs be able to get the cut back? It's going to be a drag to the line. Who's it going to be? It's Ethan Sparks that takes the win ahead of Archie Gibbs. A brilliantly timed win there for Ethan Sparks, but who's going to take that battle for third place now? It's Archie O'Brien who led it last time across the line. Now Archie O'Brien does take a podium in this one ahead of Marco Holt, Joshua Williams and Thorley Trevorrow in that battle as well.
What a race from Ethan Sparks and Archie Gibbs. Ethan Sparks picking up the win on the final corner of that one after being behind the entire race long. But Ethan Sparks, your championship leader, once again picks up another win on the season. That's his 8th win of the season, and it is what a race. And that's the 27 there of Austin Johnson in his second round, and Austin not particularly happy. You can see the bike pulled off to the side of the road there, maybe not ending the race in the way that he was hoping. His brother Byron Johnson in 8th position in that one, but it is Ethan Sparks who took the race win ahead of Archie Gibbs. The pair of them came across the line separated by a 1/10 of a second. Archie O'Brien in 3rd position picks up another podium after wrestling it away from Marco Holt in 4th position. Josh Williams just held off 5th position from Thorley Trevorrow in 6th as the pair of them came across the line split by less than half a tenth of a second. Luke Fitchett back in 7th with Byron Johnson in 8th, Bill Harris in 9th, and Noah Guillory was promoted up to 10th with Austin Johnson unfortunately retiring on that last lap. But Archie Gibbs, Ethan Sparks have now shared 1st and 2nd for the last 5 races, so brilliant consistency from the pair of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and consistency is going to be what wins this championship, and Ethan Sparks is doing a brilliant job of being consistent out the front of that one, picking up his 8th win of the season in that race. So, and that's exactly why he's got a 70 points and more lead at the front of that AC40 Pro championship. And it was a brilliant race right till the end of that one. Ethan Sparks played it really clever, made a move right at the final corner. And it's Ethan Sparks it is then who's on pole position ahead of Archie Gibbs, the number 3. Joshua Williams in 3rd place ahead of Thorley Trevorrow in 4th. Archie O'Brien, who picked up a win in the LC40 Elites yesterday, he lines up on 5th spot on the grid ahead of the number 58 of Marco Holt. Bill Harris in 7th place on the grid ahead of Luke Fitchett, Byron and Austin Johnson, who have both moved up from the AC40 rookies in 9th and 10th, and Noah Guillory rounding out the grid in 11th spot on the number 41 machine.
Yep, this fight will be between Ethan Sparks and Archie Gibbs. Watch out for the likes of Josh Williams and Thorley Trevorrow behind, because Thorley has very much been on that cusp of a podium in the AC40 Pros. Not yet managed to achieve one, but he's always in the hunt, and Thorley, I'm sure, will desperately be hoping to pick one up before the end of this season. However, it will be the 62 versus the 3 off the line. Ethan Sparks, who took a double race win yesterday, both on the mini motos and on the Metro Kits and GP50s. So Ethan Sparks seemingly going very well indeed. However, a little bit of overnight rain, the track's a little bit greasier, it is drying out in places, but offline it is still quite damp, which means that overtaking might be a bit tricky. But if you've just tuned in live, welcome to Sunday morning. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday morning. You've got yourself a nice bit of breakfast, a bit of a cup of tea, and you're here ready to enjoy a brilliant day's racing from Cumbria Kart Circuit up at Rowrah. My name is Gareth Hall, joined as always by Trystan Finocchiaro, and make sure you do all the good stuff on the socials, liking, sharing, subscribing, and get ready for a brilliant AC40 Pro class as they all filter into their grid slots, getting ready to look to the lights to get their second race of the weekend underway here at Rowrah. Lights on. We've got a jump start for a few, but it's the lights off, and it's Archie Gibbs that's got a good run, and he's really sailed ahead of Ethan Sparks, who got caught out by the lights being on for a long period. Marco Holt's made his way into 2nd position. Ethan Sparks getting offline there, did a very good job. We just said it was very greasy offline here, and Ethan desperately trying to make up some time after getting that slow start. But you've got already Archie Gibbs starting to streak away, and he's got himself a couple of bikes in between himself and that Ethan Sparks chasing from the from 4th position.
Yeah, absolutely, Terry. He's taking advantage of the fact that Ethan was just caught out there by all the mess out the lights there. A couple of jump starts. I think Thorley Trevorrow was one of the riders that just was a bit too eager off of the line there, up into third spot in this race at the moment. And the race start is currently under investigation by race control, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But Ethan Sparks looking to the inside of Thorley Trevorrow now into the final corner. Can't quite make a move stick, but you're going to have to be thinking the number 62 of Ethan Sparks is going to be want to be doing all he can to try and get through on Thorley Trevorrow and Marco Holt to try and see if he can go and catch Archie Gibbs out the front of this race, because Archie Gibbs is pulling away now, and he knows that Ethan Sparks, he knows that he's ahead of Ethan Sparks, and he's just trying to put the hammer down as we saw how fast Ethan was yesterday.
Yeah, and you would have noticed that Archie Gibbs just had a quick glance behind and saw just how much of a gap he's got himself between the battle for second, which is now Thorley Trevorrow and Marco Holt, who just shuts the door on Thorley, and Ethan Sparks, who's not quite able to get a run on either of these bikes ahead. But you've got to think, if you're Ethan Sparks, he is just playing it cool. Don't make any silly moves offline or sending it and coming into contact, because he just wants to be picking up points. He's got a huge gap in the championship. He extended it to 75 points overnight, so Ethan Sparks will definitely be looking at just being consistent and just making these moves as and when they come to him, rather than forcing it. And of course that is the maker of a good racer, because it's just making those moves that are available rather than forcing your hand.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, Ethan Sparks doesn't have to risk too much. Like we said, 75-point lead in the championship, so he's in a very comfortable position as we go into the next rounds at Red Lodge and Clandale. But he makes a brilliant move down into the hairpin, nearly got 2 for 2, but just loses the drive on the exit. We saw him doing that yesterday, but manages to defend it from Marco Holt as Thorley Trevorrow goes up into second place as well now. So that's Thorley Trevorrow up into second, and Ethan Sparks up into third, as Ethan Sparks now all over the rear wheel of the number 42 of Thorley Trevorrow, goes round the outside and then up the inside into the right-hander. So a brilliant move there from Ethan Sparks, and now you're going to be thinking the number 62 is going to be trying to put the hammer down and catch up to Archie Gibbs, who's absolutely flying away in this race. So the pressure now is on Ethan Sparks to see if he can catch up to the number 3, because Archie Gibbs absolutely flew away at the front of this race, and Thorley Trevorrow doing all he can to try and stick onto the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, and doing a good job of it. He's definitely not pulling away at the moment.
No, and what a move from Ethan Sparks. They're so confident on the grip levels offline, and he just caught Thorley unaware and went right up the inside before they got to Sunny Bend at turn 8. But we know that a few riders are under investigation for a jump start, so we will keep you up to date with any post-race penalties if they become apparent. But behind, Marco Holt is now falling off the back of Thorley Trevorrow, and he's now coming under threat from Josh Williams. Josh Williams, who's been there or thereabouts, but maybe not had that pace that we saw earlier from him in the season.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, Josh Williams, a rider we saw consistently battling for the win earlier on in the season, and was a real championship threat to Ethan Sparks at the beginning of it. But we just had word that Thorley Trevorrow has got a 3-second time penalty in this race for that jump start earlier on. So he's currently in third place on track, but that'll put him down a little bit further down the order with a 3-second time penalty for the number 42 of Thorley Trevorrow. So Ethan Sparks doesn't have to worry too much about Thorley, because unless Thorley can get ahead of Sparks and pull away by 3 seconds, the number 42, then Ethan Sparks will still be able to catch one on him.
Yeah, and we will see if Ethan can start to stretch his legs. But yeah, as you say, Thorley very much still staying with him and just following Ethan's line, which might be a smart thing to do, because we've seen that Ethan took race 1, and it's a smart move, just staying with his tracks and follow where that race line in. And there is confirmation there is a 3-second penalty for Trevorrow there, and Thorley for that jump start off the line. And that's one of the riders down to the side, and I believe that's Austin Johnson, one of the recent promotees from the rookie class, and he is currently frustrated. You can see it's so frustrating for these young riders when the bike just stops working from underneath him. He was running very nicely, battling with his brother Byron Johnson over 6th and 7th position, and in that fight with Luke Fitzgerald and Austin Johnson, unfortunately ending this one early.
Yeah, you can see the frustration there. These riders really want to get these results, especially for a rider like Austin Johnson, who's just moved into the AC40 Pro class. He wants to be proving that he can get the results here, as Joshua Williams has a little look at Marco Holt, can't quite make a move stick there. But yeah, it's really frustrating for these younger riders when things don't go to plan. But it's something they're going to have to learn as well, because it does happen in racing. It is a thing that that happens quite regularly. So it's something they're going to have to be getting used to. And it's good to see now that the number 27, Austin Johnson, is restarting into this race and is going to need to keep a cool head and pick up some points in this AC40 Pro category. Of course, learning all the time are these riders, especially in their first season of racing, like Austin and Byron Johnson are. But it's this battle at the moment as well now between Marco Holt and Joshua Williams, hotting up really nicely. This is the battle for 4th place. Marco Holt on the number 58 machine, just ahead of Joshua Williams. But this could potentially be a battle for the podium with that penalty for Thorley Trevorrow.
Yeah, Marco Holt just needs to get a little bit of a move on if he is to reel in Thorley, because Thorley very much going with Ethan Sparks. And of course, Archie Gibbs still leading this one, and after getting the jump off the line, Archie's really started to disappear off into the distance, and Ethan Sparks hasn't really managed to reel him in too much yet. So Archie Gibbs in the 3 will be looking for his 4th win on the season. However, Marco Holt will desperately be holding on to position, because he's had a good run in the championship so far, a couple of podiums, a couple of good results for Marco Holt, and we in fact we will see his dad out in the senior mini motos later on in the morning, as we've got a bit of a dad's race involved in the senior class as well, so watch out for that one. That was great fun yesterday. However, with 2 laps left to go, it is Archie Gibbs leading from Ethan Sparks and Thorley Trevorrow in 3rd position. Marco Holt is now 4.5 seconds behind Thorley now, so Thorley's penalty might just cost him. We will see. It's going to get close. He's got to build about 0.8 of a second's gap over the final lap and a half if he is to hold onto, as we were talking about just before the race started, his first podium of the season. But the number 3 of Archie Gibbs leading this one, and he's doing a brilliant job of holding on to it with a bit of a gap between himself and Ethan Sparks. He's built it out to 8.5 seconds, so Ethan getting involved in that battle early on really cost him the time, but Archie has just got his head down and got on with this race and done a brilliant job of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we haven't really been able to talk about Archie Gibbs so much in this race, because he's been able to just fly away at the front, but he's done an absolutely brilliant job on that number 3 machine. It's the final lap for him, and he's led from start to finish, took the whole shot with that unfortunate start for Ethan Sparks, and then just flew away at the front. And even when Ethan Sparks did get past the riders in front, he wasn't able to match the pace of Archie Gibbs out the front. That's Austin Johnson then on the number 27, who's still out of this race. He's out of this race for the 2nd time, but it's Archie Gibbs that takes the flag and takes the 2nd win of the weekend for the AC40 Pros. Brilliant win for Archie Gibbs. 8-second gap he had over Ethan Sparks, who comes across the line to pick up 2nd place, and that was a 10-second gap it was between Archie Gibbs and Ethan Sparks. Thorley Trevorrow takes 3rd. We'll have to keep an eye on that with his 3-second time penalty, but I think he's safe in that one, so that will be 3rd for Thorley Trevorrow. Marco Holt in 4th, Joshua Williams in 5th, and Archie O'Brien in 6th place. But this battle also brewing further back between Byron Johnson and Luke Fitchett. It would be a brilliant result for Byron Johnson if he can keep hold on to this one ahead of Luke Fitchett. He's going to pick up 7th place, comes to the line and does cross the line in 7th place. So a brilliant result there for Byron Johnson, rookie in this class, only his 2nd weekend in the AC40 Pro category.
Yeah, definitely Byron and Austin, both 2 riders to watch out for in the future. They make their way up pretty quickly throughout the cup competition in the rookies, but that is the man that is going to be the happiest leaving round 2, lifting the front tyre as he pops a tiny wheelie heading off into pit road, and that is Archie Gibbs. Picks up his 4th win on the season, and he takes a stranglehold 2nd in the championship, with Ethan Sparks unable to make it 2 from 2. A 10-second advantage there for Archie across the line. He really dominated this one. He'll be going back into the paddock, I'm sure, a very, very happy young man. Thorley, well, he picks up his 1st podium of the season, so congratulations to Thorley. Even with that 3-second time penalty for a jump start, he managed to stay with Ethan Sparks and keeps ahead of Marco Holt. So what a result there from Thorley. I said before the race that he'd been there or thereabouts, and he just did enough to hold on to that 3rd podium, and that will mean a lot to him. Ethan Sparks with a huge advantage in this championship. He equally takes pole position for this one, ahead of Archie Gibbs in second. Josh Williams back in third, with Thorley Trevorrow in fourth. Archie O'Brien, who we've already seen take 2 wins in the LC40 Elites, who will be up later in 5th place, with Marco Holt in 6th. Bill Harris in 7th, with Luke Fritchett in 8th. Row 5 is the Johnson brothers of Byron and Austin in 9th and 10th, and Noah Guillory rounding out the grid on row 6 in 11th position. Now, we've seen Ethan very, very strong in race 1. Maybe not the pace that we saw yesterday from him this morning, but you've got to think that he's definitely the favourite for this one.
Absolutely so. I mean, Ethan Sparks was absolutely flying yesterday and flew away from everyone else, but Archie Gibbs managed to fly away from everyone else earlier on, so we may very well see a battle for this race 3 victory here at Rowrah. But it's definitely going, the championship anyway, is going in the way of Ethan Sparks. He's got a gigantic lead in this championship, and he's going to be looking to extend that even further. But the second place man in the championship is Archie Gibbs there. You can see in second place on the number 3 bike, and he's going to be looking to try and take some points away from the number 62 of Ethan Sparks. And now their attention will be going to the lights for the final race for the AC40 Pros. The lights are on, they're getting ready to get underway, and there they are away. And it was a good start there from Archie Gibbs, who gets side by side with Ethan Sparks, but Ethan Sparks has the inside line. Archie Gibbs tries to go around the outside and up the inside into turn 2. Brilliant move there from Archie Gibbs, absolutely determined to take that whole shot, and did a brilliant job of it. You can also see the number 91 of Archie O'Brien just making moves in the background there, but it's Archie Gibbs who's leading this one, and Josh Williams now up into 3rd place, so that's a real change of fortune for Josh Williams. He did qualify on 3rd, so he was 3rd on the grid, and he's holding that one very well, but that's a problem for the number 3. That's a technical problem for Archie Gibbs. I think he's going to be out of this race. He looks absolutely frustrated there with that one, so terrible start to the final race of the day. His dad runs over, see if they can get that bike restarted and back into this race and figure out what the problem is, but really unlucky. They can see they're desperately trying to get that bike up and restarted. It was a brilliant start for Archie Gibbs, but that's not how he would have wanted to end the race.
No, and that's what we've seen from Archie so far this season. He's just had this really good pace, but just bike issues have just hindered him, and he'll be so gutted with that, because he knew that a second chance at a win this weekend was on the cards. Archie O'Brien is coming across the line very much neck and neck with Thorley Trevorrow, and you can see Archie just with the upper hand. Gets onto the curbs and very much unsettles the back end of that bike, but manages to hold on to it. But up at the front, Ethan Sparks is going quickly. However, it's the rider behind, Josh Williams on the 78, that is really starting to put the pressure on. This is much better from what this is Josh Williams that we saw in the early stages of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh Williams enjoying a really good race so far. Of course, still 8 laps to go in this race, but he was fastest on that first lap off of the line, so he's definitely looking good in this one, and right on the back wheel of Ethan Sparks. So Josh Williams back in the form that we're used to seeing him back at the beginning of this season. Archie O'Brien with a brilliant move down there, getting up into 3rd place ahead of Marco Holt. So a battle for 3rd place brewing really nicely as well, as Archie O'Brien leads Marco Holt and Thorley Trevorrow, and there is Archie Gibbs looking on from the sidelines. Unfortunately, they can't get that bike restarted and back into this race. They're a lap behind now, so Ethan Sparks it is who is leading this race from Joshua Williams. What can Josh Williams do about Ethan Sparks? I'm sure Josh Williams will be delighted to see himself back onto the podium, but he's going to be thinking about that win.
Yeah, he will, and but the championship lead is now very much gone in the favour of Ethan Sparks, who can potentially, if Archie Gibbs cannot pick any points up this weekend or this race, will be looking at closing it out next time out at Red Lodge. Archie O'Brien ahead of Thorley Trevorrow, who's got ahead of Marco Holt, so Marco dropping down 2 positions in the last 2 laps, but Archie O'Brien, who you've got to think will be buoyed after his results so far in the LC40 Elites, isn't maybe as fast in this pro class, which is surprising to see.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, they are 2 very similar bikes, those to the AC40 Pros and the LC40 Elites, but of course the LC40 Elites with a lot more power with those liquid cooled engines, so Archie O'Brien perhaps just favouring more power and a more powerful bike, and it just seems to suit his riding style a little bit better, as we see he's absolutely flying in that class. But of course still really quick in this one as well, battling for 4 podium positions, but not quite able to match the pace of Ethan Sparks and Joshua Williams out the front. But really happy to see Joshua Williams back up at the front of the race, as we're used to seeing. Also battles all through this field with the number 27 there of Austin Johnson running a Blatter now, not what we're used to seeing him. So on a different bike for this race is Austin Johnson, so perhaps had some problems with his bike and has been lent a little Blatter to be playing around on in this one. So Austin Johnson, number 27, just leading Bill Harris. That's the battle for 7th and 8th currently going on. Is the brother Byron Johnson a little bit further up the road in 6th. So of course Byron and Austin, 2 riders who have recently come up into this AC40 Pro Championship, having graduated from the AC40 Rookie Cup, of course. But Ethan Sparks flying out the front, and this battle for 3rd really hotting up now. Look at Thorley Trevorrow now up into 3rd place, just ahead of Archie O'Brien, and Marco Holt also looking really menacing just behind the number 91 of Archie O'Brien. So it could be any of these guys that take this 3rd place in this race, but it's Ethan Sparks who set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, edging out the lead at the front by 0.7 of a second. 0.7 of a second he has over Joshua Williams. But these guys, there's nothing in it for this battle for 3rd. They're all locked together and absolutely giving it everything to try and pick up this final position on the podium.
Yep, 3rd place on offer for these 3 riders, with Ethan Sparks 0.7 of a second faster than Josh Williams, who's having a much better race, currently going with the race leader. Thorley just about holds onto position. Archie O'Brien trying to find an opening that we've seen him making. In fact, he's going to try and sweep to the inside, going to the final corner. They're almost 3 wide as they enter the final corner. Archie O'Brien finds his way back up into 3rd place. We've got 4 laps left to go in this one, and it's Ethan Sparks who once again goes purple with 56.525. That puts him a second and a half faster than Josh Williams. So Ethan Sparks very much putting the afterburners on now and starting to build that gap, and he's very much in the chance of wrapping up the title in Red Lodge 2 weeks' time. However, Josh Williams is going with him, and Josh will be looking at picking up a first podium in a while. Much better from Josh in this one. However, Ethan Sparks, who of course runs that 62 bike in both the MKGP 50s and the AC40 Pros, is very much using it to great effect this weekend, and he's been really strong. He may not have had the greatest of second races here in the pro class earlier on, but he's very much been the rider in form this weekend. And once again, he comes around the final corner to start. 3 laps left to go, and he's just setting consistent lap times that are within a couple of tenths of a second of each other. So it's very much just consistently getting to the end, and the battle for 3rd is changed once again as Thorley Trevorrow goes back up ahead of Archie O'Brien. So this is still going on as Marco Holt looks to go to the outside of Archie O'Brien as they go down towards McRae's hairpin, and it's going to go almost 3 wide on exit, and Archie O'Brien now back up into 3rd position, but Thorley comes back at him up the inside, and they've been trading positions lap for lap. This could go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see these riders all really clever, little bits of racecraft going on here, and they're just swapping and changing positions. Real nice, clean racing as well, which is brilliant to see from all of these riders. Marco Holt at the back of this battle for 3rd. Just watching these guys swapping positions at the moment, just keeping it cool at the moment and waiting for his moment to pounce as Archie O'Brien moves back ahead of Thorley Trevorrow up into 3rd place. Down into the final corner once more. You can see Archie O'Brien defending that inside line, making sure there's no way through for the number 42 of Thorley Trevorrow, but Trevorrow getting a brilliant drive out that final corner and makes another move down into turn 1 as they start the penultimate lap of this AC40 Pro race. Brilliant racing from these 3 at the front. It's Ethan Sparks who leads by 3 seconds, and Josh Williams in a lonely 2nd place. He'll be happy to pick up a podium after having a little bit of a difficult mid-season, but Archie O'Brien with his hand up there, so perhaps some sort of problem there for Archie O'Brien. We'll have to wait and see how that one pans out, but something that he seemed to be frustrated with there for the number 91 machine. He's just sort of nodding his head, trying to get a bit more pace out of that AC40 Pro bike. It looks as if Thorley Trevorrow is just pulling away a little bit now, so Archie's going to have to get his head down and get back onto the rear wheel of the number 42 of Thorley Trevorrow. Marco Holt still at the back of this group, eyeing up Archie O'Brien at the moment, seeing where he can try and find a way through on the number 91. He gets a brilliant drive out of there. Does the number 91 of Archie O'Brien has a look to the inside, but there's no way through on Thorley Trevorrow as they go on to start the final lap of this race. It's Ethan Sparks who's is leading by a commanding gap at the front. 4 seconds he has over Josh Williams. A brilliant second place so far for Josh Williams, really enjoying himself in a podium position, but Ethan Sparks is the man of the day.
Yeah, he really is, and he's really controlled this race. He came under threat from Josh Williams, but has just been stretching that lead out and out and out. The battle for third is going to rage to the line with Thorley, Trevorrow and Archie O'Brien and Marco Holt all still battling over third, but the man of the moment is very much the 62 of Ethan Sparks, who comes into the final few corners of this one into Sunny Bend at turn 8, and he just has to navigate one more turn after this to pick up his second win in class this weekend and the overall win on the weekend. Ethan Sparks to the line, checkered flag for him. That's 2 wins from 3. That is a massive lead in the championship. Brilliant result for Josh Williams. He comes home in second place. Who's going to get the jump to the right line? It's going to be Thorley Trevorrow to the line, just ahead of Archie O'Brien and Marco Holt. Thorley very much was not willing to give up that third position. Archie O'Brien just didn't have quite the pace in the late stages to close in on Thorley, but it is Ethan Sparks once again, who we've seen so often on the top step of the podium here in the pro classes. Side by side comes Austin Johnson and Bill Harris, and Noah Gilly will be last on the leading lap. Unfortunately, we lost Archie Gibbs and Luke Fitchett from that one. But yeah, what a race once again from Ethan Sparks. He will be delighted. Gives a wave to the camera, and the young rider on the 62 will be very, very happy indeed as he goes to Red Lodge with a commanding lead in the championship. He finishes at the top of the field ahead of Josh Williams and Thorley Trevorrow in third position. Archie O'Brien in fourth with Marco Holt fifth. Then come the Austin brothers with Byron getting the better of Austin in sixth and seventh. Bill Harris in eighth with Noah Guillory in ninth position, and unfortunately we lost Archie Gibbs and Luke Fitchett from your final race classifications. And thus ends the AC40s for the day.